The Christ Letters, with enhanced narration and text. Letter 5.1. New Spiritual Terminology. Narrator's Note. A special word on formatting. The recorder explains in the foreword that in order to show that some powerful statement had come from Christ's mind into hers, she used italics, emboldening, and capitals. Some may find this unconventional formatting interferes with the flow of reading. And this was actually the intention, because these letters are not meant to be read, but pondered. This means you have to stop on the specially formatted words and think about what the words are trying to convey to you. You have to reach into the infinite dimension in order to try to understand what you are being told. To honor the recorder's intention, all the emboldened words have a reverb effect added to them, and the words in capitals and italics will also be highlighted with a bell sound, one bell at the start of the phrase and two bells at the end. These sound effects will help to harmonize the recording with the text. I am also reading slowly to allow time to ponder the meaning behind the words. I, the Christ, am writing this letter 5 to clearly define the hidden reality, which I will also refer to as the universal and divine, to help you stretch your minds to understand that whilst you are an individual, that which has given you being and individuality is itself universal, eternal, infinite, everywhere without beginning or end. For the sake of those people who have chosen to read letter 5 before my earlier letters describing my life and true teachings on earth, I will make a further statement that my true Jesus Christ self must not in any way be confused with the Jesus recorded in the New Testament. Since my original teachings in the form of the 4 Gospels have been distributed worldwide and grossly misinterpreted, it is my intention to begin teaching truth of existence by explaining the true meaning of my original terminology as quoted in the Gospels. This is necessary to dispel and eventually eradicate from people's consciousness the misunderstandings which have persisted and misinformed generations of spiritual seekers since my life on earth. When on earth, to describe the reality behind and within existence, I deliberately coined the term the Father when referring to God. This was done for 2 reasons. Firstly, as I explained in letter 1, when I received enlightenment in the desert, I was enabled to see that the concepts describing the Creator of the universe as revealed by the Jewish prophets were completely wrong. Secondly, I was given to perceive clearly and fully understand the true nature of the Creator, and I realized that it was a nature of parenting, of fulfilling the needs of creation in clear-cut, specific ways, which were synonymous with those of a father-mother. Indeed, I saw that the parenting impulses present in all living creatures had been drawn directly from the Creator, and that the origin of all love and parenting drives was also the origin of life and existence itself. I also saw that creation was a visible manifestation of the universal creative impulses of being, and therefore humankind could be termed the offspring of the Creator. For this reason, it was quite natural for me to speak of the Father when referring to the Creator, since to me this is what the Creator truly is in every way, more especially Father, Mother. But having regard to the Jewish insistence on the woman occupying a subordinate position in their daily lives, I referred only to the Father, to avoid Jewish resistance and to gain their acceptance of the new terminology. I also coined the term the Father to help the Jews realize that their concept of Jehovah and the rigidity of Jewish laws were totally erroneous. Also, by using a new terminology, the Father, to describe the Creator, the creative impulse behind and within existence, I made it clear I had brought an altogether new teaching in opposition to the accepted belief in a God which rejected certain people and sent disasters upon them as retribution. I want you to understand fully that nowhere has it been made clear in your New Testament that I brought a teaching completely opposed to the teachings in the Old Testament, and therefore the New Testament, as a true record of my life and teachings, cannot be trusted or accepted or believed. A true and accurate record of my personality, enlightened nature, emotional attitudes and teachings themselves would have made it abundantly clear that the old Judaic forms of religion and my enlightened teachings were diametrically opposed in every way. The Judaic religion was one of extreme materialistic concepts. There are certainly writings from which spiritually enlightened Jews drew and continue to draw a mystical perception of our source of being. They are to be greatly honored and respected for their transcendent states of mind. But as the prophets reached the average man and woman, their writings transmitted a different, controlling message, which is purely human and false. No control for good or evil is exercised from a God above. If there were, the world would not be in such a shocking state of upheaval and misery. I brought a new teaching, which was directed exclusively at making people aware of universality and love, the indwelling nature, as well as the transcendent nature of that which brought all creation into visible manifestation. It is my purpose to make this abundantly clear, to enable seekers of truth to rid themselves of any remnant of belief that I was merely a prophet in a long line of Jewish prophets, that I continued preaching their themes of an Almighty Jehovah possessing ambivalent feelings towards his own creation. Fear of Orthodox Jews kept my disciples in line with what they had decided they would tell the public about me. You must remember that to gain new Jewish adherents to Christianity, they were afraid to discard the Old Testament, since it had held the Jews together for centuries. Therefore, they extracted and added on from my teachings whatever was compatible with the old religious beliefs. My genealogy was listed to reassure Jewish people I had descended from King David. Why should they bother with this unless they wanted to make it clear that I was very much a Jew of ancient lineage and therefore could be a candidate for messiahship? If they truly understood what I had come to earth to do, to break away from the past and lay the foundations for an altogether new future of understanding and activity, they would have made valiant efforts to make certain that people understood the true purposes which drove me to the day of my death. But they did not do this. They obscured much of what I tried to teach. A strong-hearted disciple of mine, Stephen, was less afraid to speak out about my true teachings, although these had also been embroidered, but even so, he was stoned to death. You must understand that life for my disciples was precarious, and it is little wonder that my true teachings were covered over with traditional thinking to make it more palatable to the public. Even so will there be fierce disputations when I say that Christianity only presents a record of some of my statements and healings, which are not in too much conflict with Judaic teaching. It is a religion coined by my early disciples and by Paul after his induction in Antioch, to keep the Jews together as far as possible and to bring Gentile converts into the fold. Expediency then became a facet of Christian thought. This is the truth of my life and death on earth. Disputations will arise because people hold on to cherished beliefs and surrender them only with the pain experienced by those who lose their dearest possessions. Nonetheless, dear as the beliefs may be to people, they are only beliefs. They are not a sure foundation on which to build new lives. Now that I am returning to you through the medium of these letters, I am again making every attempt possible, within the parameters of your human perceptions, to describe for you the reality, your source of being, which initiated the universe and existence itself. Exactly as 2,000 years before, I have now come through the medium of these letters to lay the foundation for future spiritual evolution during the next millennium. Your spiritual development can only arise out of your deeper perceptions and understanding of the nature of existence and of that which brought you into being. For what you clearly perceive creates the conditions under which you live. Because you have not understood your true spiritual origins, humankind is continually embroiled in wars, and has spawned earthly conditions which are both a disgrace to human consciousness and a source of human suffering of every kind. For this reason, I am radiating the full power of my Christhood consciousness to bring the truth of existence to you in the kind of modern, understandable terminology to enable you to construct a new consciousness and realization of truth as it really is, rather than allow you to continue adhering to those false beliefs you have been taught or have been brought to you by tradition. With usage and understanding, the terminology will come to arouse in you the same, or more, reverence and love and spiritual insight as you previously felt when using the word God. Loaded with universal meaning, the more appropriate terminology will eventually fill you with spiritual power when you use and visualize the meaning of the words.